We'll have the next generation, Stargate Next Generation, with younger actors. Yes.
Do you usually watch sci-fi shows on TV or in the theaters? So you are yourself a fan?
Yes. Yes, of course. Next Generation was my web. I love the Next Generation show. I watched Battlestar Galactica. I like Eureka. I thought that was a fun show. It was good to be on that show. It was a lot of fun. A little town called Eureka. I like Battlestar Galactica because it brought a human element into sci-fi. You know, people made mistakes. People went to the washroom. Where are the washrooms in Atlantis? Downstairs. Outside. Yeah.
Why? Maybe speak.
Zelenka was a positive character, you know. He wants to know, of course, I think you would be able to play a very nasty and negative character. And you love that.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I played one. There's a show called Fringe. Do you have that here? The Fringe. That was a good show. I played a bad guy on Fringe, one of the episodes, a really bad guy. It's a lot of fun. There's no bad people, they're only misunderstood. Marco knows that. Only misunderstood. Villains are one of my favorites to play.
It seems prefers to play
Bad guys. I heard that David Prowse.
And express a big range of emotions.
Yes, and you can be sympathetic too, which is even better. I think David Prowse, because he's such a tall guy, when Star Wars came out, he was offered if he wants to do Chewbacca or Darth Vader. Darth Vader. Darth Vader, you know. A hairy monkey or the biggest evil in the universe? I'll take the biggest evil in the universe.
3 aggettivi in cui descrive Zelenka.
3 adjectives to describe Zelenka.
Patient. Scientific. True scientific. Which means skeptical. And brave. Brave. I think a lot of people didn't know because it was some of the things that he was asked to do were difficult. You know, to go 60 million light years. Oh wait, would you do that?
Well, depends on.
Would you do that?
Depends on the pay. How much do you?
If there was no guarantee of pay and no guarantee of coming back, would you go?
Depends on what it's happening.
Depends on the pay.
Depends on the company.
Yeah.
Depends on the company. It's like making a movie.
Can you tell us something about Fringe? Your experience on Fringe?
On Fringe, yeah. It was 3 days, again, working in Vancouver. It's a J.J. Abrams production. J.J. Abrams, the security involved in a J.J. Abrams script is unbelievable. The scripts that we work with on an audition are called sides. You get sides. They look like FBI documents. The scene has been blanked out before and after. The characters that you are talking to are scratched out. So you don't know who you are talking to, even if you are, because you get the thing, you go, oh, okay, Fringe, you watch the show and you understand who's who, and you get, I got the script, and Agent Smith. So you're talking to Agent Smith, okay. And so I did my audition, and I couldn't tell from the 4 sentences if I had spoken to her before, or if it was even a her, or if I knew that. And I asked the audition, I said, who's Agent Smith? And they went, Agent Smith? Who is this? Oh, you mean Olivia Dunham? You mean the character? So the actors are given scripts that have, you only have 2 pages to prepare your audition. You have very little to draw on, and even that is being crossed out. Your name is written in the background in watermark on the script, because they're so worried that you're going to take that script and put it on the internet. Then you're an actor. You need this to work with, right? So the security don't tell anyone, even at auditions, you have to sign a paper saying, who cares? You know, who's going to talk about? Guess what Agent Smith does in this episode. But outside of that, it was a terrific show. All the actors on it are Australian. I mean, she's Australian. John Hurt. Is it John? Noble, that's it. Noble. He's a theater actor from. He's a great actor. All the best actors are theater actors. Right, Bruce? Right, Bruce Boxleitner? I'm gonna get killed. But it was a real treat. It was a real treat working with them, especially since I was the bad guy in the episode. So they have there's a real. But then you finish doing that and you have lunch with them, and they were very welcoming. And they were very nice. The first season of Fringe shot in New York City, and the second, third, and fourth came to Vancouver. I think they're on number 4 right now. And then there's a new show now J.J. Abrams is doing there called Alcatraz. You have to get a haircut for Alcatraz. It's the 50s.
Do you think there is any difference between American productions and Canadian productions? I mean, those which start in Canada? Because I have seen something on Italian TV, and I had the slight impression that they had different sensitivities. For example, I saw a series, I don't remember the name, about a lawyer mostly specializing in cases of people with mental disabilities or living on the street, which is not something I would have expected from a US production. So do you think there is a difference between the 2 sides of the border, or am I just making it up?
The biggest difference is money, of course. It is the biggest difference, realistically. Many American productions come to Vancouver to shoot. Most Canadian television is made in Toronto, 5,000 kilometers away. Because of the way the tax structure of the provinces is, even being from Vancouver, if I go to Ontario, if I go to Toronto to work, I have to pay taxes there for them to take advantage of me as an actor. So there's no point in me going there unless I live there for a year, pay taxes there, then they can write me off. So not too many actors go east and west. So the ones in Toronto work mostly on Canadian shows, the ones in Vancouver work on most of the American shows, roughly speaking. That doesn't mean that there's no Canadian made in Vancouver, there is, but most of them is American productions. Again, they come there because it's cheaper for them to work. It's cheaper for them to work. And Vancouver is a very diverse place. I mean, you see Battlestar Galactica, it's all trees. Every planet you go to has trees. So it kind of has the same look, but you just have to go about 100 or 200 kilometers outside, and you get to Canada has a desert just outside so it can be very dry. There's parts of Vancouver that look like Chicago, that look like New York. There's parts that you have mountains, you have fields, so there's lots of different looks that you can have there. I think in Battlestar Galactica, that kind of futuristic looking buildings, that's at the University of British Columbia. So they use it a lot for that. There's a concern now that Vancouver is being shot out, that there's too many people are recognizing it too. I can always recognize it from the quality of the light. If you see something shot in Vancouver, the light outside is kind of a blue-green kind of light, whereas something shot in Los Angeles is kind of an orange-pink. Sort of like, and it was, you could notice that with X-Files. When it was X-Files was in Vancouver, it had that kind of, that deep, gothic sort of, and then when it moved to Los Angeles, it lit up, it was bright and sunny, and it wasn't the same thing. So the light in Vancouver has that kind of gloomy aspect to it. Which is true.
Si è mai sentito doppiato in altre lingue?
Have you ever heard yourself dubbed in another language?
No. I would love to see it, yeah. I would love to see it. You don't have it?
Yeah, maybe Raffaele.
In your pocket?
It's the wonders of technology.
Zelenka in the pocket. Zelenka Italian, Zelenka French, Zelenka Spanish. Oh, I don't have it.
Have you ever worked as voice actor? I don't know, for cartoons?
Yeah, I've done voice work. I did a lot in Prague in English. I did a lot of commercial work there. And in Vancouver, yeah, not maybe once every 2 months or so, not regularly. Haven't done any animation, but I do a lot of commercials for radio, things like that. It's Manitoba time. Shows like that, travel commercials.
While they are looking for the episode, what do you know of Italian, movies or things
Well,
like that?
Fellini, of course. Bertolucci. I was just, it's not an Italian, it's Peter Greenaway's Belly of an Architect. That's a film from 1987 about Rome that always reminds me of, that music always reminds me whenever I'm walking on the it always reminds me of that. I guess the typical sort of exports, isn't it? Sophia Loren, si, claro. Monica Bellucci, yes. No?
She's not an actress. She's a beautiful woman who occasionally...
She's a model.
Yes, but she sounds like she's got a potato in her mouth.
Does she?
Speak. Yes.
I don't listen to her.
I assure you, when she did Matrix, she did herself in English and she sounded like she had a potato in her mouth. And she redubbed herself and it seems that she had 2 potatoes in her mouth. A wonderful experience.
She can have as many potatoes in her mouth as she wants. It doesn't matter. Questions about Monica Bellucci? Yes, sir.
I have a question. When you work for native productions, più vicino, scusa. When you're working for Canadian productions, you change accents. I mean, you said potato now, which is British. Well, I would consider it British. It's not potato. So what do you do? Do you have rules? What? You say potato.
You say tomato.
You say tomato. There is courses on offer in Vancouver for actors to learn the American accent. How to speak American. So all you gotta do is when you're going for your auditions, you just gotta kind of drop out into it. I love accents. I do accents a lot. Canadian English is considered kind of the cleanest sort of English. In America, they think I'm British. In Britain, they think I'm American. So it's a bit mid-Atlantic. The West is even more of a. I mean, I don't know. Do I sound American to you? No. Do I sound British?
No, not quite.
Not quite. Yeah.
You don't sound Australian. You don't
We were
sound
talking
Australian.
about. I don't sound Australian. Like, no. We were talking about how the phrase water bottle really captures it, because in England you say water bottle, and in America you say water bottle, and in Canada you say water bottle. So it's in between. So it's I think also that's one of the benefits, because it's a clean accent, and if I've always had, because of the languages, I've had a sort of musical ear, and I have a bad actor's habit that when I go somewhere I start imitating the act. I started talking like the Italians, and it's bad in Australia because I just start talking like them. It's just you hear it. So for most American productions, yeah, you just lengthen the vowels. Most real Canadian accents are kind of in the back of the throat. They're kind of like up here, right? And you get to talk like that. So and the further south you get, the more it drops down and gets slower and that. So it just depends on where the character's from. West Coast, Boston is very calm. Yeah, calm. I can't think of it right now. And then there's New York, of course, and New York accent. So it does change. It does change based on the character. But that's part of the actor's work, right? You prepare what the character is like and what they're supposed to do. It's a part of how they look, how they walk.
I also have a follow-up question about the speed. My impression is that in American productions there's been a tendency to speak faster and faster. Have you noticed? Is this true?
We speak, I think, pretty fast on our show. I think Atlantis was pretty fast, especially McKay's character. Speaks very fast. A lot of TV procedurals, they're familiar with the term procedurals, which is like TV shows, like cop shows, CSI, and those kind of things. It's all about something happens and we're trying to figure it out. And science is used a lot, and so for that, the scripts have so many plot points to get through, and they try to densify that and put that all into one script. That's why scientists are always called on to try to. That's impossible. It could not possibly done that. So that's the kind of characters that they look for. Also, they're attuned to the fact that everybody has a very short attention span, and it's going to change the channel very quickly. Right? It's the way TV is filmed. That's why we shoot every scene to death. We shoot it from here to here to here. And one of the directors told me, I have to do that because every 3 seconds, I have to cut. Every time you blink your eye, there's a cut. Because people are, if a scene goes, it used to be the time, a scene would start, people would walk into the scene, talk, walk out of the scene. That never happens anymore. You see a restaurant, you show people sitting at the table, one's talking, two's talking to, and you're in and out really quickly. And it's because of the short attention span. So the scenes go quickly, and so the acting goes fast too. You have probably an hour and a half worth of dialogue put into 50 minutes, right? Or it's about 48 minutes after you put in commercials, about 48 minutes on an average TV show. Alessandro, do you have a question? Now you have to have one.
Do you have anything bad to say about Atlantis?
Do I have anything bad to say about Atlantis? Are you trying to get me in trouble? It was cancelled. That's what I meant bad about it. So I can say that it was... Yes, I can say anything. You want me to, don't you? You want me to say anything bad about Atlantis? No, I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was a real blessing to work on the show. Producers do as producers will do. I realized my job in that universe is what my job is. So I always concentrated. I kept to my knitting. I did what I needed to do, and I didn't really think about all the machinery, all that. There were actors that would call the producers with line changes and think that they need to do that. I don't believe in that. I think it's the producer produces, the writer writes, and the actor should act. There's a reason for why you're being told those lines. If the syntax is weird, then we would address that and change that. But I don't believe in thinking that I have any more of a right to change what they're doing, because I'm just one part of the universe, right? They need to put me into what they're doing. That's how I always approached it. Nice try.
Non pensi che il personaggio di Zelenka poteva essere sfruttato meglio in alcuni casi? Perché spesso è solo una spalla di Nykl o comunque di...
Sì, perché io sono molto felice, molto felice di stare qui con voi. Sì, what did you say?
Do you think that the character of Zelenka could have been developed maybe a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you always want to see more to do that. But again, you gotta know. If I was producing the thing, I wouldn't do too much with Zelenka either, because you're focusing on your team. I'll wait for the part where I get to be that person, and not try to change that. I wish they would have, yeah. But I mean, maybe if we would have gone on some more seasons, it would have happened.
A part that you would love to play? Theater, movie maybe. Scrooge.
Scrooge. Thanks a lot. Scrooge. Thanks a lot. Oh, look, the stuff I have to put up with there. Oh my goodness, it's gone now. Right? I'd love to be one of those Pirates movies with Johnny Depp. Wouldn't that be fun?
What?
Some Musketeer movies. That would be really good. I did a lot of sort of Holocaust movies when we were abroad. So that was sort of went through that historical phase. A lot of those things that were shot there, and features too. The kind of the bad movies of the week, which are making the rounds on Sci-Fi Channel right now. We're all shot up there. And I've done Shakespeare as well too, so I kind of.
Wow.
All's Well That Ends Well. Oh my goodness. Midsummer Night's Dream. This is back in '90.
King Lear.
No. You guys think I'm old, don't you, King Lear? I just saw a great production. I saw a great production of King Lear just recently. I like to play bad guys. Yeah. I don't know.
A serial killer.
A serial killer. Wouldn't that be great? With glasses.
Joker in Batman.
The what?
You could do a fantastic Joker.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah?
You think so?
That's it.
I got the part. I got the part. Yes. Yes, Shrek.
I am only a messenger.
Okay. Uh-oh, this is going to be dangerous.
I'm worried.
I am worried too.
We have 3 questions.
Okay.
And if you want to shoot them, shoot them. Right. First question is, have you done any movies? Then, another question is,
Yes, I
are there
have.
any problems with Bruce Bones' life?
No, non credo.
And I got problems.
Jealous was the question.
And I got problems with Bruce Bosch later, let me tell you.
Chiesti se gli piace, cosa gli piace di Bruce, cioè, quello
Cosa gli
che
Is this something about the Luce? I don't want to hear that. Now I want to hear that. What is it?
She says that actually the question was. Perché lui l'ha detto. Dice mi permetterei. You said. I don't dare to say anything. But is there anything positive about what he's done?
About what Bruce has done? I remember Scarecrow assisting. I used to love this. Yeah, oh, Bruce. I can't believe it. You're asking me questions about Bruce. When he gets here, ask him questions about me. He's so dreamy. Okay. Great questions. Thanks, guys. Any questions not about Bruce? Doctor Who. Yeah, I read this Doctor Who series. Yeah. The Martian Chronicles. It's been a while. Old Man's War was the last one I read. Scalzi.
If there's something you would like, maybe a novel, a sci-fi novel that you'd like to take on screen, have you ever thought of that?
It's not a sci-fi novel, but there's a great book by one of my favorite authors. I love magic realism. This Japanese author, Haruki Murakami. And he wrote the Wind-Up Bird Chronicles. And I love that book. There's just something about timeless about it. So I'd like to see that one. Haruki Murakami is his name. And he's just written, I've just started reading IQ 84, his latest one. But he's like Kundera, he's like Gabriel Garcia Marquez, that sort of style. I love that style. It's a very cinematic style because it changes time, it changes location. And those kind of books I would love to see. There's several of his that I think would be filmed. And I've never seen any of his books on film.
You know that it shows a lot that you're European, do you?
Does it?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Because you know these persons.
It's just books. It's just stuff to read, yeah. They're great. I really do recommend him. He's a terrific author. He really is fantastic. Kafka on the Beach. Very nice story. Yeah, that's a great story too. Norwegian Wood too, based on the Beatles song.
The Beatles song.
Yeah. It's a love story set in Japan. Also, Canadian writer Douglas Copeland. He's not as interesting, but he started the term Generation X, and he's written a couple of novels recently. They try to make some movies out of his stuff, but there's some really good books of his too that I would recommend. Douglas Copeland. Do you have a question? What I like most between acting, directing, or producing? Acting. There's a loss of control that you have to submit to it. I think with directing and producing, you're conscious always of the story and of controlling the story. But as an actor, you're in the car and you're trying to make a left turn. You're just trying to do a simple thing. Bertolt Brecht said the most interesting thing a person can do is tie a shoe. And it's true. If you imagine you're watching somebody, but what are they going to do? And they start tying their shoe because they're trying to get something done. And there's a real simplicity in that people forget about acting, is you're just trying to get a simple thing done. And the simpler, the better. The more primal, the better. And there's a real joy in being able to submit to that and to forget all of the constructs of it. You have to understand the story. You have to understand why the story was written, what your part in the story is. But at the end of the day, what you are just trying to do is get this one thing done with this one person or these series of people. And there's a simplicity, and there's a joy, and there's a real art in being able to do that. And that's why I love this job. The hard part about it is trying to get the work. It's to try to get the job. You know, everything is about trying to get the job. But once my favorite part is once you get the part, there's other actors that tense up. They go, oh my God, I've now done it. That's the beginning for me. That's the best part, because now it means I can do it. I can pay attention to the script. I can figure out what they want to do, and I can do what I want with it.
You know, David, I've always wondered how difficult it is when you shoot a TV series to just get in the mood, get in, what you're doing immediately. Because in theater, I think it's different, But in
concentration, yeah, because everything happens very much, and everybody's coming up to you, and they're doing this, and they're doing that, and they're adjusting your clothes, and it doesn't matter if you're in a field, 15-hectare field. Everybody is crammed into one little area. You're always in one small spot. So there's extreme pressure.
So concentration is the key.
And the concentration is the key. The preparation is the key. If you know what you're doing, if you do a lot of your preparation before, then you have time to improvise, right? It's like jazz. If you know your notes, then you can make them up in the moment. You don't know what you're going to do when you get there, but you have to trust that you will know what you're going to do when you get there. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is being able to let go and trust yourself to let go and do that. That's what I love the job.
And is that easy, maybe after a scene when you had to cry, for example, just to forget about it immediately?
Yeah, it is easy. Yeah, because you just, that's the situation, and then you move through that situation. Depends on who you're doing the scene with. I mean, there's situations that make it difficult, but that's the kind of challenge that makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, because I remember an interview with Sophia Loren when she got the Oscar for To Women, and after you've seen the movie, I suppose.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, but there was this scene in which her daughter was raped, and she was crying and crying and crying, and they really had, after the scene, they really had to calm her, because she was really upset.
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah, that can happen. I mean, you're opening up something that you don't know where it's going to take you.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you have a good director that you can trust, that's going to take you to those places. The problem with film is it happens in short pieces.
Television is different.
No, television is also the same. Television is even more concentrated and small. Film, you have a lot more time to develop that. Film, you do a page or 2 pages a day in film. Depends on the script. But in TV, you got 8, 9 pages a day to do. So you gotta go.
Okay.
Who's your favorite director?
I'm sorry?
Your favorite director?
I really like Anthony Payne. Alexander Payne. Sideways and Descendants recently. He's a really good. Christopher Nolan, I think, is really good. He's a terrific director. I can't think of any right now.